12 every year is set aside to commemorate achievement of youths in different quarters and their inclusion into decision-making positions. Known as International Youth Day, it brings together young people and stakeholders in development to highlighting applicable measures to make the world a better place for living. Youth in the Gambia use the opportunity to demand their rightful roles in all decision-making stages, vibrating their majority in the population demography. Kadidu Seka files in this report.
Gambia joined the rest of the world in observance of the International Youth Day to honor the participation of the younger generation in bringing down the walls of poverty, hunger and sickness. Transforming food system, youth innovation for human and planetary health is the subject around which the 2021 celebrations are confined. Putting this theme into context, the Deputy Executive Director of National Youth Council, Pamalik Sise, considered agriculture as a sector through which hunger could be arrested.
And in this global world we are in now, is required the attention of government, civil society, private sector, and everyone to ensure full participation and involvement of young people into this area. Because without that, it will be very difficult to attain food self-sufficiency in this country. In the Gambia,
he hinted that a proper research would be necessary to figure youth participation in national development and the output of their investment at the same time.
Most of the time, people do talk about youth participation and youth involvement in decision-making process. But a proper research is not done to ascertain how involved our young people are in decision-making. And if you look at the three arms of government, for instance, you look at the parliament, you look at the number of young people who are within the ages of 18 to 35 as a member of parliament, it's too much.
Speaker of the National Youth Parliament, Omar Cham, urged the stakeholders in youth development to create the space for the younger ones in all decision-making platforms.
Above that, young people should be encouraged and involved. They should be, participating in everything that has to do with theirs, because there is a common saying in activism that anything done for the youth without the youth is not for the youth. So anything that is supposed to be done by anybody, either the government or stakeholders or international organizations, they should ensure that young people are actually involved highly, so that the decision-making process will be much more given a higher value.
Employment being one of the challenges facing youth in the country. Omar Cham urged the necessity in the thinking beyond the regular box, even for the most qualified ones.
The challenges of the youth, I think the most prominent has been unemployment, because you would observe that a young person would go to school, graduate from the university, and still would not have the opportunity to get employed because they are low, they are actually minimum, or should I say, they are limited employment opportunities for the youth.
In the Gambia, young people constitute about 60% of the population, a strength required to exert their influence in almost every policy decision. The commemoration of August 12 as International Youth Day was endorsed by the United Nations General Assembly following a recommendation by the World Conference of Ministers responsible for youth in 1999. Its celebration began the following year to recognize the contribution of young people in sectors such as education, health, and culture. Khadijatu Seka, iAfrica News.
Now, still on the commemoration of the International Youth Day, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Bakari Bagi, has called on young people to take advantage of the lucrative venture of farming. He was speaking on the theme Transforming Food System, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health on Thursday. The commemoration is aimed at highlighting the fact that global efforts to address hunger cannot be achieved without the inclusion of young people. Naisisa has the rest of that in this report.
The International Youth Day is celebrated annually 12th August to bring youth matters to the attention of the international community, as well as to celebrate the potential of young people as active partners in the global society. Youth must be at the forefront of development strides, given their potential energy and number in response to the needs of their country. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Bakari Baji, calls on young people to engage in farming while assuring them of government support.
National Youth Council and the National Enterprise Development Initiative, two satellite institutions under the ministry, are part of the steering committee of the Roots project of the Ministry of Agriculture. This project is specifically designed to help young farmers in the Gambia. Unlike other projects, Youth Roots will provide grants up to $10 million to aspiring young farmers who meet the requirement. The government is aware of the fact that most of our young farmers are financially challenged. Thus, the more reason why projects like Roots are conceptualized and funding secured to provide assistance.
His call also came on the heels of the 2021 rainy season, from which majority of farmers in the Gambia rely for cultivation of crops mainly on subsistence. In making sure that the world is hunger-free, this year's theme is subject to transforming food systems, youth innovation for human and planetary, geared towards motivating young people to take up their role in the crusade.
There is a high need for youth folks to galvanize efforts in making sure that the fight against hunger as well as create a healthy universe. With the world's population expected to increase by 2 billion people in the next 30 years, it has been recognized by numerous stakeholders that producing a large volume of healthier food is more sustainable and will ensure human well-being. Other crucial challenges, such as the interlinkages embodied by the 2030 Agenda, including poverty reduction, social inclusion, healthcare, biodiversity conservation, and the climate change mitigation, must also be addressed.
According to Minister Baji, the Gambia Sun High project initiated by the government through the Ministry of Youth and Sports will serve as a training ground in order to support youth participation in the attainment of food self-sufficiency. The youth, it is said, can make the biggest difference in shifting the status of any country from the confines of hunger and underdevelopment to the dreamlands of society. The 2021 International Day of the Youth is celebrated virtually as the world continues to battle with the coronavirus pandemic. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy Sey.